it?
This is it.
What is this?
This was at my place.
And now?
Wow.
Now it's a butcher shop.
It's a butcher shop. We played here so many times. Lines going around the block. And
I doubt they have live music here.
I doubt that too.
Mellencamp and Bruce Springsteen these days are the everyman's person, talking about mid-American, born in the USA and all that good stuff. And then I looked at the Housewives and I suddenly realized that these women too draw on their inward selves, their own experiences. We're working on a project together and I hope it works well, but tonight I know you will enjoy them. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the Housewives.
So be my babysitter.
First, a little history. Anyway, I was in college and I heard of a band called The Waitresses. And I thought that that was just a great name for a band. And I thought, well, if I had a band, what would I call it? How about the Housewives? And then I started writing lists of song titles. It's like Call a Repairman or Ironing Board.
When I think about it, it cuts me like a sword.
So after I married Lawrence and we had our first baby and I was sitting there with diapers and formula and stuff like that, I thought, hey, that Housewives idea, now might be the time to do it.
Housewives, Paul McCartney. You know.
It was really an effort to combine what I do, which is comedy writing, with what my husband does, which is rock and roll guitar.
There'd be many incarnations of the Housewives.
Once upon a time there was a pretty vacuum cleaner. It sucks. It sucks.
She had 8 attachments and her name was Maria.
It sucks. It sucks.
I first got a group together with Barbara, my brother Lloyd's wife, so my sister-in-law, and Annette, who I went to college with. We did open mic nights with a man named Skippy Lowe.
You know, I had seen some of the shows that he had put together, and then to be part of it, and his audiences loved it.
After the first group of showcases with Barbara and Annette, I ended up meeting a woman named Robin Roberts.
It was Thursday, January 12th, 1984, and I was waiting in line at the Comedy Store for open mic night, and there were these 3 zany women standing behind me in bathrobes with curlers in their hair. Guy in charge came out and said, "I'm sorry, we can't take any more sign-ups. You all have to come back next week." And he said, "We're all going up to my dad's house to do our act."
I also got in touch with an old friend of mine named Barbara Chase. I'd known Barbara since I was about 13, when her mom, Florence Henderson, played Carol Brady on my dad's show, The Brady Bunch.
This was a project that you had, and I think it was just serendipitous that we saw each other, and I was free, and you had an opening.
For a blonde. And we started doing a lot of club dates.
There is one true American beauty. She comes from the little town of Pine Valley. She is sly, sweet, so sensual, but get in her way and she'll give you hell. Stop making no more. Quit making Phoebe grow. Leave Tom and Brooke alone. Erica, you bitch.
We'd turn up at the club with vacuum cleaners, brooms, and feather dusters, and people thought we were the cleaning crew. And here we are, and now in front of Madame Wong's, which is a Petco.
At my place, And then another one, we did a lot of shows there. Here's LA Cabaret, very cute. Pop sings.
My girlfriends say my husband is just nasty and mean. Shut up, shut up, shut up. But if you ask me, well, I say he's squeaky clean. Shut up, shut up, shut up. When he comes home to me late at night, his mind may be dirty, but his shirt is white. Spotless love to wash, to wash. It's hard to tell when passions burn so bright if it will last for the rest of your life or just the rest of the night. I never thought that it would end up like this when it started out so simple. It started with a kid.
So after doing club dates for a while with Barbara and Robin,
And broke my ankle majorly.
Barbara and I went on that night, just the two of us, and Robin was laid up for a while. I had another baby and decided to take a break from it. And when I came back to it, I thought I wanted to try something completely different.
We played at the Central in West Hollywood, which is now the Viper Room. We performed in our lingerie. It was really, really a high point of my life.
Then I got a call from a friend named Cherie, who I went to college with, and she was doing a variety show with Fritz Coleman, the weatherman. They were looking for a different kind of a music act, and Cherie asked me, were you still doing that Housewives thing that you were doing before? So being brought up in LA where you're always supposed to say yes and just figure it out later, I said, yeah, I'm still doing that. So she said, well, Fritz is looking for this act, and if you can get us a demo by next week, I think I can get you on the show. So I thought, okay, here's an opportunity to completely revamp this. Who are the best singers I know? I called my friend Lisa Harrison, an incredible singer who co-wrote some of the early Housewives songs.
Hope and I are 20 minutes apart. We have the same birthday, born in the same town. We're a contraction apart.
Then I called Maggie Mayall, a really great blues singer. My daughter Nico, who was 2 at the time, was in a playgroup with Zach Mayall, who was about the same age, Maggie's son. I wanted it to be a blonde, a brunette, and a redhead.
Right.
I was clearly the redhead. You were clear the brunette. Maggie was a redhead.
Maggie was a redhead?
Yeah.
I'm the blonde. I didn't always used to be a blonde. I was a redhead for a lot of years. But I had to get it out of my system. I'm one of those people that can't stop doing things to my hair. Kind of a hairaholic, but I'm getting better now. I'm on a maintenance program. It's called Salon and On. You've heard of it. And I only indulge now about once a month. It's controlled. Although every time I pass a beauty supply store, I break out in a cold sweat.
Headed for the bedroom on a sunny day. No better place to be in the USA. Gonna get somebody in my hair today. Ooh, brighten a curl on a permanent way.
I said to them, we have an opportunity here. Can you come over and do a demo this weekend? We can get it in by next week and we'll see what happens. So they came over, we did Domestrophobia, sent it in, and by the next week we were on national television.
I get up in the morning and before I start to think, I see the pile of dirty dishes waiting in the sink. I turn around in terror and start racing for the door when I slip upon the crumbs I haven't swept up off the floor. She's got domestrophobia. That's what she's got. I've got what? Domestrophobia. That's what you've got. I've got domestrophobia. 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 Pulse racing. Temperature high. Blood pressure rising. Reflexes goodbye.
I want to tell you that one of the great times in my short-lived television show, which was one of the pinnacles of my mediocre career, was to have the Housewives and Hope and all these talented people that were sort of talented like an octopus off in their own directions, including Lawrence being my band director. It was, without exaggeration, the best time of my life. It was so much fun.
It seemed like a good combination of people with me, Maggie, and Lisa.
Something magical happened with the three of us.
And I thought this could be a good thing to do, like a full hour show back at my place.
Up in the house all week long. Wanna dance, wanna sing a song. Gonna let loose when we get the green light, 'cause we're rockin' hot rollers tonight. We're rockin' hot rollers. We're rockin' hot rollers. We're rockin' hot rollers tonight.
And it went great. People really seemed to enjoy it. And I got a call the next day that there was a woman from Dick Clark's company there who wanted to meet with us about signing the Housewives. They got us on the Home Show, a national morning program, and we became regulars.
They're backed by popular demand. The Housewives!
The kids are gone, they're safe at school. They'll be there all day. I've done the dishes, I've cooked the food. Now nothing can stand in my way. So I'm going out on the battlefield. I'm ready for the fight. The moment of truth has finally arrived. It's me against cellulite. It's the battle of the
There was one episode of the Home Show that we did where I was singing Domestrophobia. And we got there very early. We had to get there at 4 o'clock in the morning for the camera setup and all that kind of thing. And then we were waiting in the green room to go on. And I was the lead singer and decided that, well, a couple of minutes before showtime, I should probably just go use the bathroom. So I went into the restroom and I flipped my skirt up, and the entire microphone pack fell into the toilet. And I was just stunned and horrified, because I knew that in 10 minutes I was going live nationally, and I had no microphone. So I went running out and I grabbed the first person that I could find, which was a crew guy, and I said, "I'm the lead singer and my microphone is in the toilet." And he grabbed me and he put me under his arm and he said, "Red alert.
We've got a swimmer!" And I mean, that crew was on it. She was mic'd. It was go!
It's live national TV. I'm sitting in the control room with the engineer frantically plugging in cables. When Hope opened her mouth, we had no idea if anybody watching TV would hear her singing.
I get up in the morning and before I start to think,
They would call up and say, "Do you have a song about Halloween?" And I'd say, "Yeah, sure."
Halloween tonight. Ooh, little monsters. Whoa.
We have a song about football. As a matter of fact, we do.
I'm a football widow. Football widow. From kickoff to Super Bowl. I've made my famous stuffing
From celery and stale toast,
chopped giblets and fresh parsley make for a juicy roast. Oh, recycled promises we made only last year, but this time it'll be different, 'cause this time we are sincere. Recycled promises.
Besides being really talented singers and writers, Maggie and Lisa both were married to really fine musicians. John Mayall is a blues legend, and John Walmsley's an excellent guitar player. And they'd sit in.
The night we played, I kind of laughed and went, wow, this is really happening.
And Dominic wasn't our only bass player. We also used Phil Chen from Rod Stewart's band. On drums, alternating with Denise, we had Bruce Gary from The Knack. I think that Maggie, more than Lisa, was feeling really committed to the band.
Certainly, I believe we were all working on other things too.
That was really not the case for Maggie and myself. We were solely committed to this project. We were raising our kids and doing the Housewives, and that was it. So we hired a publicist who set up appearances and interviews. One interview was for a magazine called the LA Express, and the reporter started to ask Maggie about John's erotica collection. She said it was off the record, and then she told him all about it. I got a call that the article had come out, so I went to a newsstand to look for it. And I found out that instead of the LA Express, it was actually the LA Express, and it was kind of an X-rated magazine. And there were the housewives smiling between the breasts and the bottoms, and an article about John's collection. Well, somehow this all became my fault, and Maggie and John were very upset and decided they wanted to sue me.
The fight we had last evening left me cold as ice. I've been thinking about it all morning. I've decided to be nice. Don't be late. Don't be late. Don't be late. I know you wanna lick the plate. Don't be late. Don't be late. We had frozen dinners last night. I've been defrosting all day.
And then the ultimate housewife appearance.
Lisa Harrison, Hope Juber, and Maggie Mayall are the Housewives.
We did all the morning shows. We were in national magazines. We were the only group I know that had articles written about us in Variety and Music Connection and Family Circle all in the same month. We wanted to get some radio airplay, so we went to see Dr. Demento, who specialized in comedy songs. And we brought along a basket of muffins and a bucket full of cleaning supplies. And we said, if you play our song, we will clean your studio and you can have this basket of muffins. He agreed, and so we cleaned his studio. We all ate muffins. We were starting to get big. And another thing that became quite big was ego.
Ego is the biggest saboteur.
I guess it always kind of rears its head in group situations. There was one time that I went out to lunch with Maggie and Lisa brought her lawyer. And the lawyer said, so Lisa was on the Waltons 6 times. You were only on the Brady Bunch 4 times. So we think that Lisa should have a bigger dressing room. A bigger dressing room? We didn't have a show.
Started out so simple. Started with a kiss.
And here we are
on Sunset Boulevard,
home of the lingerie, no longer the lingerie club. There's one version of Be My Babysitter, a live version, that is just, to me, it's hilarious because it starts and you can't get your glove on. And it starts, and Maggie's just about to start singing and the music is going, you're struggling with this glove. And it's one of these long, elegant gloves, and she's like got one on and one is like not having it. So it's going, the music is going, and finally the last beat.
Looking for someone special.
This band is intertwined through marriage and past relationships. I don't even want to go into it. Anyway, it's a lot of fun. Singing their big hit, Call the Repairman. Here are the Housewives, ladies and gentlemen.
The kitchen floor is flooded and the washer's on the blink. Disposal's going crazy and it's eating up my sink. Refrigerator's busted, dinner's thawing out. The microwave is sending radiation all about. I think I'll call a repairman. Call a repairman. Oh yeah, I'll call a repairman. Call a repairman. It's some conversation, just might make a new relation if I call a repairman.
So during this time where we were appearing on the home show and we were doing club gigs and we were getting a lot of attention, we started getting offers from studios to partner with Dick Clark for the sitcom. And that was great, but every single one of the offers that came in came with what's called a recastability clause, which Maggie and Lisa were not into. They were not going to accept any contract with a recastability clause. Maggie and Lisa were great. They were really fantastic. And I think that with all the exposure that we were getting, they wouldn't have been recast anyway, but they wanted a guarantee. There were only 2 studios that were willing to deal at all with the recastability issue. One was Warner Brothers, and we had a deal on the table with softened language. And the other was Lorimar, which was a company run by a guy named Lee Rich.
Lee Rich produced the Waltons that I was on, and basically said, I guarantee you a show, I guarantee you'll 3 be the stars, I'll get you acting coaches, I'll get you whatever you needed. So I made an appointment and made a meeting to go talk to Lee Rich, and I went to Lorimar and walked into his office, and there were a bunch of guys sitting around, and then there was this big stuffed furniture, like an easy chair in the corner. So we all gathered and waited for Lee to show up, and he didn't show up, so they said, let's start the meeting. So we started the meeting, and every time these guys would talk about Lee, they would point to this empty easy chair. So after the meeting that I had with Lee's easy chair, I expected him to call and maybe schedule a different meeting, but he never did. I never even spoke to Lee. So when I had an offer on the table from Warner Brothers or one from an upholstered piece of furniture, maybe it was the wrong decision. But hey, it's Warner Brothers. You make your choices.
Dial, double zest, Colgate, Gleam or Crest, Pepsodent or Close Up, seems to be a toss-up. Mop and Glow or Mop and Shine, Fantastic or 409, Widget or Scrunch, which removes grudge.
We were at Warner Brothers for a little while, during which time they did absolutely nothing. So the deal was over. Even Disney. They wanted to develop the Housewives as a project, a movie project, they were talking about
Cher, Goldie Hawn, and Bette Midler, I believe. And then, if that movie was a success, which they believed it would be, they would do a TV series and guarantee that we would have the series.
Our agency convinced us that the most we could hope for was best efforts in casting us in a TV show based on the movie should the movie become a hit. Okay, well, hey, it was Disney. We began a negotiation.
The Housewives had been selling out at my place and booked a trial gig at the China Club in Hollywood. Since we were unfamiliar with the club, we insisted on a late-night slot and that nobody important should be invited. The agency ignored our request, and right before showtime, Jeffrey Katzenberg, then head of Disney, stepped out of a limo and entered the club. It was less than ideal, even though everyone was on top form. The crowd were late-night hipsters who pretty much ignored us. The vocals were mixed so low as to be indecipherable, and all the Disney executives saw were 3 ladies jumping around on stage with feather dusters and vacuum cleaners. Disney suspended the negotiations the next day.
We had a new song called The Reynolds Rap. So I wrote to the R.J. Reynolds Company, and I sent them a copy of The Reynolds Rap. And I got a great letter back. Apparently everybody in the factory was playing it. They were making Reynolds Rap and singing to the song. Then they suggested that they may even want to do a commercial, and then I got a letter from the ad agency who wasn't crazy about that idea.
Got up out of bed late last night, went into the kitchen, had a terrible fright. Opened the fridge, there it was. Couldn't understand what all that buzz was doing on the food when I thought it was fresh. Brought big goosebumps out of my flesh. That moldy stuff, all brown and green, smelled real strange. It was a terrible scene. It was awful. It was bad. It was gone. It was sad. So I went to the market, walked down the aisle, saw something there that made me smile, made me happy, and I mean royal. It was aluminum, tinfoil. It's the wrap. It's the Reynolds Wrap.
I was not done yet. So I called Cherie and I said, do we know anybody who does that kind of thing? And she said, yeah, she has a friend who's a producer. He produces those. So I called him up. We were really excited about it. And he called me, I think it was a Monday morning, and he said, you'll never guess what? And I said, what? He said, I went to Magic Mountain over the weekend, and I was there with my friend Tom, and we were on the roller coaster, and I was telling him all about the Housewives, and he just loved it. He thought it was a great idea. And he said, don't say another word. Open Variety on Monday and then give me a call. So he opened Variety Monday morning, and it turned out his friend Tom had taken over for ABC Daytime and loved the Housewives. So he called up, he said, we've got a meeting on Friday, we're gonna go in, we're selling the Housewives. Great, right? Thursday night, I get a call from Maggie. And she says she hasn't been feeling really well, and she felt that it would be good if we all felt really good, so she called up the agency and canceled the meeting. And I said, well, that's not your meeting. You can't cancel that meeting.
The thing is, I really do think that Maggie was trying to help. Kind of like all of us putting our collective best foot forward. She just didn't understand that if you cancel a meeting like that, you just don't get another chance. But why she didn't talk it over with me or Phil, I don't know. I don't get.
No, I ain't no TV housewife. I ain't no Donna Reed. That kind of TV housewife, a completely different breed.
It didn't start out as a TV show. It started out as a fun group that would combine domestic themes with rock and roll. And that's what we were doing, and we were having a great time doing it. By this time, I'd been working on the Housewives for nearly 20 years. I told Lawrence that I just wanted to put all the songs together on a CD so that I could say, here, this is what it was.
I thought it was brilliantly executed, a brilliant idea, and three gorgeous women. Are you kidding?
Every once in a while, somebody would come up and say, well, what's going on with the Housewives? Or what's happening with the Housewives? Whatever happened to that group? Well, more than 30 years after I started this whole thing, I figured out the next step. I called my writing partner, Ellen Geilis, took the songs, and made it into a musical.
That's what you get when you call a repairman.
What did you say?
Nothing.
I know it. It's you.
No.
It's her.
No.
You're her.
No.
You're a housewife.
The kitchen floor's flooded and the washer's on the blink.
I picture sparkle.
The music is amazing. The script is amazing. And it's actually a show that I consistently get asked, when are you doing It's the Housewives again? When are you doing It's the Housewives again?
My girlfriends say my husband is just nasty and mean. Shut up, shut up, shut up.
To do something that she had done herself and then be able to bring ourselves to it was just, it was a joy and a privilege.
I'm a football widow, football widow. Someone to hand me the remote control. Our song's gonna be on crap.
It's K-rap, and it's not that simple.
When we'd get to a song, I'd be like, oh my gosh, this is my favorite song. I love this part. And then we'd finish, and then the next song would come up, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, this is my favorite song. I love this part.
Oh, how you get away with it. I'll never know, Erica. You bitch.
Once the cameras were rolling, we were the best of friends.
I ain't no Donna Reed. That kind of TV housewife, so completely different breed. I ain't no TV housewife.
Did you enjoy being a housewife?
Oh yeah. I thought it was the most fun you could possibly have on stage with your clothes on.
Guarantee it's tasty. Just peek through the oven door. Once you have one mouthful, you'll be there for her. Don't be late. Don't be honey. Dinner served today. Come on, I'm gonna satisfy your hunger, baby.
Nevertheless, she persisted. They treated her like she